Okay, so you want to hear about the Colossus of Rhodes,
Yeah.
one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. I mean, we've all seen those pictures of this massive statue, right?
Right.
Like almost like a guardian of the city straddling the harbor entrance.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but is that the real story?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. It's like a lot of things from ancient history, The popular image doesn't always match up with what actually happened.
Right, right.
We've got some great sources here, historical accounts, some expert analysis. Let's dive in and see what we can uncover about the real Colossus of Rhodes.
Okay, so to start this whole thing off, I guess we have to go back to the late 4th century BC.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows Alexander the Great.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't? He's like
Yeah, super famous.
a household name.
But what happened after him?
Yeah, that's the question. What happened after his empire crumbled?
Well, it's not like it just vanished, Alexander's empire was huge. It fractured into, it fractured.
Heard.
Yeah, into a bunch of pieces.
Okay.
And you had all these power struggles between his generals who all wanted to control different parts of it.
So it's kind of like if you drop like a plate on the ground.
Yeah,
It doesn't just disappear. It shatters into a bunch of little pieces.
exactly. And those pieces, they're the successor kingdoms.
Okay.
And they were constantly fighting, reshaping the whole political scene of the Mediterranean world.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, lots of conflict.
And then smack in the middle of all this, you have this island city.
Rhodes, yeah.
Rhodes.
Managing to not only survive, but thrive.
That's amazing. How did they pull that off?
Low location, 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 right.
Always, right.
Rhodes was in the perfect spot.
Right on those trade routes.
Yeah. Eastern Mediterranean, right along those major trade routes.
That was huge.
And it made them this like hub.
Center of commerce.
Yeah, attracting merchants and goods from everywhere, like all corners of what we call the Hellenistic world.
So this Hellenistic world, that's basically the world Alexander left behind, right?
Right. It's the Greek-influenced culture that spread after Alexander's conquests.
Right, okay. So Rhodes is sitting pretty economically strong.
Yeah, and that allowed them to build a powerful navy and stay independent, even with all the fighting going on around them.
So in a way, they were playing the long game.
Yeah, definitely. They were known for their diplomacy, too, playing different factions against each other, making sure they didn't get swallowed up by any one power.
Smart.
Yeah.
But this balancing act couldn't last forever, could it?
You're right, it couldn't. And that's where Demetrius Poliorcetes comes in.
Okay, I've heard that name before, but remind me.
Oh, he's a fascinating character. He's the son of Antigonus the One-Eyed, another big player in this whole successor kingdom drama. Demetrius earned the nickname Poliorcetes, which,
Hold on.
Yeah.
Colossus. Is that like Greek for something?
yeah, it means the besieger.
The besieger?
Yeah, for his military skills.
So this guy was not messing around.
No, he was serious about consolidating his power. And Rhodes, with its strategic location, and its whole independent thing, well, they were a threat to his plans.
So it's like Demetrius is trying to put together this giant puzzle
Mm-hmm.
of like an empire, but Rhodes is this piece that doesn't quite fit, right?
Yeah, a piece that wants to stay separate.
Right, doesn't want to be part of his puzzle.
Exactly.
So what did Demetrius do? I'm guessing he wasn't just going to let them be.
No, he wasn't.
So what happens?
Well, in 305 BC, Demetrius decides to make his move. He launches this massive siege on Rhodes, brings in a huge force, cutting-edge weapons. It was a big deal.
This sounds intense.
It was.
So we're talking about like a real David versus Goliath situation here.
Absolutely. The Rhodians were outnumbered, outgunned, but they were determined to protect their freedom.
And this siege, this was no walk in the park, right?
No, not at all. Demetrius brought out the big guns. Literally, I mean, he had these things called helepolis, which were helepolis,
Right.
these massive mobile siege towers.
Wow.
Designed to basically overcome any city walls.
Like how big are we talking?
Oh, they were huge. Some accounts describe them as like multi-story structures, almost like moving fortresses,
Oh, wow.
equipped with battering rams, catapults, the whole works. A marvel of ancient engineering, but terrifying if you were on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, no kidding. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that.
But the Rhodians, they held their ground.
For how long?
For an entire year, they resisted.
A whole year.
Yeah, a year. They used their knowledge of naval warfare. They used their island defenses to their advantage. They even came up with new ways to counter Demetrius's siege engines.
Yeah.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Right. It's the truth. So they adapted and invented.
Exactly. They were adaptable. They were innovative. And that's, that played a big role in their eventual victory.
So what finally happened? Did Demetrius just get tired of waiting?
Well, the siege was costly.
For both sides.
Yeah, for both sides. It went on way longer than Demetrius thought it would, and he had other things brewing elsewhere. And honestly, he started to realize that even if he took Rhodes,
Yeah.
it would be a Pyrrhic victory. Like,
Ew.
what would he have left? A devastated city, a resentful population, not really a win.
So it's better to just leave him alone and move on.
Well, in the end, they came to an agreement, a negotiated settlement. Demetrius withdrew his forces and acknowledged their independence.
So they won.
They did.
Against all odds.
Against all odds. It was a victory that would really, really stay with them.
I can only imagine. Okay, but here's the thing. What does all of this have to do with the Colossus?
Ah, well, that's where it gets really interesting. The Colossus is the direct response to this victory. It's a thank you to their god, Helios.
Helios, the sun god.
Yeah, the sun god, for saving them. But it's also a symbol, a big one, of their triumph over Demetrius, a way to say, hey, world, we're independent, we're resilient. You know,
They're like, we're still here.
exactly, we're still here. And the Colossus, it's a big way to say that.
They weren't messing around.
Not at all. They went all out.
Oh, I bet they did.
They wanted to make a statement.
So tell me, what was this Colossus, this statement like?
Well, it was intended to be breathtaking, an embodiment of Rhodian pride and ingenuity, no expense spared. They estimated it to be around 114 feet tall.
Wow.
Made entirely of bronze.
And all bronze.
And it took 12 years to build.
12 years. That's incredible. That's longer than some ancient pyramids, right?
Yeah, longer than it even stood upright, actually.
Wow, that's amazing. You really have to wonder about the skill involved in something like that.
Yeah, the dedication. And it wasn't just logistical challenges either.
Oh, what else?
There's this kind of tragic story associated with the sculptor Chairs of Lindos.
I don't know that name.
Well, the story goes that he miscalculated, the cost, the complexity of the project.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the scale, trying to make something that big, it's not easy.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And so, overwhelmed by debt, the sheer size of the task, well, Chairs. Sadly, he's believed to have taken his own life.
Oh, wow. That's really tragic.
Yeah, it is. It really makes you think about the human cost of these grand projects.
Yeah, it puts things in perspective. So we have this colossal statue, tribute to Helios, symbol of Rhodian resilience.
Right.
It's finally finished. Where do they put it?
That's a question that has sparked a lot of debate.
Yeah.
That popular image we see.
Straddling the harbor.
Yeah. Ships sailing between its legs.
Like a guardian.
Exactly. It's a powerful image. But most scholars think it's, well, not likely.
Really? Why not? I mean, it looks so cool.
It does. But practically speaking, I mean, the size, the weight of the statue, it would have been incredibly difficult to build it like that, let alone make sure it stayed up.
Right.
And, from a practical standpoint, you don't want a giant statue blocking your harbor.
No.
It would disrupt trade, make the city vulnerable. It just doesn't make sense.
Function over form, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially for a busy port city like Rhodes. So the more likely location,
Where is it then?
probably near the Temple of Helios.
Okay.
Maybe on a hill overlooking the city.
So still a commanding presence.
Yeah, but more integrated into the city itself. Even if it wasn't straddling the harbor. I mean, can you imagine seeing this bronze giant gleaming in the sun?
Oh, it would be amazing.
Yeah. For anyone approaching Rhodes, it would have been unforgettable. A testament to their power, their devotion to Helios.
And we have accounts from ancient writers who saw it, right?
We do. Pliny the Elder, for example, he described it as this marvel of engineering and artistry.
But it didn't last, did it?
Sadly, no. A few decades after it was finished,
Uh-oh.
a powerful earthquake struck Rhodes. It toppled the Colossus, shattered its limbs, caused a lot of damage to the city itself.
Wow.
Walls, ship sheds. I mean, it was a major disaster.
It must have been devastating. I mean, to see this symbol of their strength suddenly in ruins.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So what did the Rhodians do? Did they try to rebuild it?
That's where it gets interesting. They didn't.
They didn't.
No, other cities, they rebuilt their wonders when they were destroyed, like the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus,
Yeah.
But the Rhodians, they chose not to rebuild the Colossus.
Why not? I mean, wouldn't they want to restore such an important symbol?
It's hard to know for sure.
Right.
But some sources say they saw the destruction as a sign.
A sign. Like what?
Maybe a message from Helios?
Oh, wow.
Or maybe just like a philosophical acceptance of, well, the fact that nothing lasts forever. It's a big shift, right? To go from such a display of ambition to, well, acceptance of fate.
Yeah, that's a big change. I guess the Colossus, it was more than just a statue.
Yeah, it represented something deeper, their beliefs, their relationship with the gods. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. So the Colossus is in ruins,
Mm.
but people didn't just forget about it
Oh, no, not at all. Even in its fallen state, it was a huge attraction. People came from all over to see it.
to see the ruins.
Yeah, to marvel at these massive fragments.
I wonder what that must have been like.
To try to wrap your arms around its thumb, like Pliny described.
Oh, yeah, he said that.
Yeah. It must have been humbling and a little eerie, you know?
It's like a cautionary tale.
Yeah, maybe. But also, it shows the power of human creation, even in decay.
That's a good point.
People kept visiting for centuries.
Wow.
It's a testament to its impact. Okay, so for centuries, people came to see these fragments. But what happened to them? Where did they end up? That's a bit of a mystery. The most common account is that they were sold.
Sold.
Yeah, in the 7th century AD during the Arab conquest of Rhodes.
But who would buy, like, a pile of broken bronze?
Well, bronze is valuable.
That's true.
And even broken up, the Colossus was a lot of bronze. They think it was melted down, repurposed. And get this, it took over 900 camels to transport the bronze away from Rhodes.
900 camels. That's an image.
Isn't it? From this symbol of power and glory, meant to last forever, reduced to, well, basically scrap metal.
Wow, that's kind of sad in a way.
It is, but it's also, it's a reminder about the cycles of history. Civilizations rise and fall, empires crumble, the world is constantly changing. What a journey, right? From Alexander's empire to this siege, this colossal statue,
Yeah.
an earthquake, and then camels carrying away the pieces.
It's a lot to take in. But what's the takeaway here? What can we learn from the Colossus even though it's gone?
Well, I think it reminds us that even the greatest things we build, they're subject to time, to nature.
That's true.
It speaks to our desire to leave our mark, to create something that inspires awe.
Yeah.
But it also warns us about hubris. Even the grandest achievements, they can be fleeting.
That's a good point. And what about its like cultural impact? That image of it straddling the harbor, even if it's not accurate, it's everywhere.
It is. And it's influenced art, literature, for centuries.
Like it's become an archetype.
Yeah, exactly. It represents something bigger than itself, and that's maybe its most enduring legacy. It's not about the bronze, the stone. It's about the ideas it embodies. Human ambition, the pursuit of greatness.
That's powerful.
It is, isn't it? Even though the Colossus of Rhodes is gone, its story, it continues to speak to us.
It really does. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Makes you wonder, in our world today, everything moving so fast, what's going to last? What are we going to leave behind that people will look back on and be like, wow, like we do with the Colossus?
It's a big question, right? I mean, will it be our skyscrapers, all the tech stuff, or maybe it'll be something different, like the knowledge we've gathered or the stories we tell?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the Colossus, it was a thing, right? But it became more about the idea of it, the symbol.
Right, exactly. It outlived its physical form.
Maybe that's the key to making something really last, It's got to be more than just like bricks and mortar. It's got to mean something, connect with people on a deeper level.
It's that human element, that desire to create something awe-inspiring that's timeless. It's about pushing boundaries, being creative, connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
And maybe that's why, even after all this time, the Colossus still has this hold on us.
Yeah, it captures our imagination.
Definitely. Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today.
We have, haven't we?
Empires, symbols, the human spirit, and what kind of mark we want to leave on the world. The Colossus of Rhodes might be long gone, but, well, it's still teaching us things.
It is. About ambition, creativity, that human desire to leave a legacy.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Colossus of Rhodes. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.